The soft hum of the rain against my window is the first thing I notice when I wake up. It's always the first thing. A quiet kind of rain, gentle in its rhythm, tapping lightly against the glass like it has its own secrets to share, but only if you're listening closely enough. I pull the thick blanket a little higher, tucking it under my chin, but it doesn't stop the cold from creeping into the spaces I can't reach. Maybe it's just the house, or maybe it's me, still hollow, still cold inside. The morning feels muted, soft. I don't remember the last time I felt truly awake, truly alive. There's a heaviness in my chest, an ache I can't explain, a place that's been empty for a long time now. Some days it's easier than others to ignore, but today it's louder. The clock ticks on, but I find myself caught in a moment that doesn't want to let go. I get up slowly, feeling the weight of years in each movement, as though my body still remembers what it used to be like before everything changed, before the emptiness grew in me like a second skin. I walk through the house, the silence thick around me. Every room feels the same, stale air, faded furniture, the quiet hum of the refrigerator in the background. I stop at the kitchen door, my hand on the knob, and that's when I hear it, a soft whimper. I freeze. The sound is faint at first, like a distant memory. But there it is again, a small cry, like someone calling for help. I look around, but there's no one. The silence rushes back, filling the room, but the sound lingers in my mind, echoing. It's only when I step outside that I see her. She's there, huddled in the corner of the yard, a small figure trembling in the rain. Her fur is matted, her body thin, but her eyes, those eyes, they look straight at me, not the frightened eyes of an animal that's been hurt. No, these are eyes that have seen things, eyes that know loss. I hesitate, not knowing what to do. The last time I let myself get close to something, I lost it. But this dog, this little soul, she doesn't look afraid. She doesn't look desperate. She looks like she's waiting. I take a step closer. She doesn't move. She just watches me, her tail wagging faintly, almost like she knows. She knows I need her as much as she needs me. I squat down, careful not to startle her. Slowly, I reach out a hand. She sniffs it once, twice, before she licks it gently. I feel a spark, something so small but so profound, like a flicker of something long buried inside me. I stand up slowly, and she follows me, just a step behind, as if we've always been walking this way together. It's strange how quickly she becomes a part of my world. It wasn't long before I realized that she wasn't just another stray. There was something about her that spoke to me. Something familiar, something comforting. She followed me everywhere. At first, I didn't mind. Her presence was a quiet sort of companion, like the rain, gentle but constant. I started leaving food out for her in the mornings, just on the edge of the porch. I called her Willow, because of the way she bent in the wind when she walked, her body swaying like the branches of an old tree. It felt like the right name for her. And she always seemed to know when it was time to eat, trotting up to the porch with that same knowing look in her eyes. I never asked where she came from, and she never seemed to offer. The first few weeks, I saw nothing but that flicker of her eyes, always watching me, always silent. But something about her presence began to fill the empty space in the house. And in my heart, I didn't want to admit it at first, but I could feel it, a slow, steady change. She was healing something I hadn't realized was broken. One evening, I was sitting on the couch, flicking through the channels without really paying attention, when I heard her again, a soft whimper. I looked down at her, sprawled across the floor by the door, eyes fixed on the closet. It wasn't the first time I'd seen her do this. She was always near the closet. At first, I thought it was just a quirk. Maybe she liked the coolness of the floor there. But tonight, she was different. She wasn't moving, wasn't shifting her weight, just staring. Her body was tense. Her tail had stopped wagging. I stood up curious and walked over to her. I squatted beside her, following her gaze to the closed door. "Hey girl, what is it?" I whispered, though I knew she wouldn't answer. But her eyes locked onto mine, and it was like she was asking me to understand. I placed my hand on the door handle and paused. Something about this moment felt different. It wasn't just a door, wasn't just a room behind it. There was something there. A weight. I opened the door slowly. At first, I didn't see anything. Just shadows, dust, and old boxes. But then my eyes fell on something out of place. A stuffed toy. It was a small, worn bear, its fur faded, one ear missing, and beside it a scrap of fabric, yellow frayed but unmistakably a child's scarf. My breath caught in my throat. Willow nudged me, her nose pressing gently against my hand as if telling me to pick it up. Slowly I did, and then it hit me. This wasn't just any toy. This wasn't just a scarf. It was a piece of someone's life. I leaned against the door frame, clutching the toy and scarf in my hands, feeling a rush of emotions I couldn't name. Willow sat beside me, her body close, her head resting against my knee. As I looked down at her, I realized what it was. The story behind her. There was a past there. A child had once loved her, once held her close. A child who had given her this toy and scarf. But then, what happened? Why was she here? Why was she alone? My hands shook as I traced the edges of the stuffed bear, my heart aching with the thought of the child who must have once clung to it. And then, a quiet thought crept into my mind. Willow hadn't just been abandoned. She'd been left behind. But not by a cruel heart. No, there was love in the remnants she'd carried with her. The next few days were a blur. Willow stayed close, always by my side, always with that same quiet wisdom in her eyes. But the mystery of her past remained. Who had she belonged to? Where had they gone? Why had they left? Then one day, as if by fate, I got the call. The call came unexpectedly, and I almost didn't want to answer. My fingers hovered over the phone for a moment before I finally picked it up. It was the local shelter. "Hello, is this Mrs. Coleman?" The voice on the other end was calm, but there was a sense of urgency beneath it. "Yes, this is she," I replied, the weight of the call settling into my chest. "We have a situation here," the voice continued. "One of our staff found a report about a dog, a stray, with a yellow scarf, matching the description of a missing pet from a few years ago. A child had reported it lost around that time. The thing is, the dog was seen near your neighborhood a couple of days ago, and we wanted to make sure she was all right." I froze. A missing dog, the scarf, it all clicked into place. "You mean Willow?" I asked, almost a whisper. "Yes. Could you bring her in for identification? We need to check the records. Make sure she's the same dog. We understand it's been a long time, but there may be some details we can verify." I felt a tightness in my throat. How could I let her go now? She'd become a part of me, a part of my healing, of my quiet journey from grief to hope. But something in my heart told me that if she belonged to someone else, if she had a family, then I had to let her go. It was the right thing to do. But that night, when Willow curled up next to me in bed, her body pressed against mine as if she knew I was struggling with the decision, I couldn't help but hold on just a little longer. The following morning, I made the call. "I'll bring her in," I said softly, not sure I was doing the right thing, but knowing I had to. When I arrived at the shelter, the air was thick with anticipation. The workers there, familiar faces who had seen countless animals come and go, greeted me with a mixture of kindness and quiet professionalism. They led me to a small room with a large window overlooking a fenced-in yard. Willow was standing on the other side, her eyes focused on me as if she'd been waiting for me to come. "Willow," I called softly, my voice trembling. She tilted her head, but didn't move. I felt a pang in my chest. A woman stepped forward, her face lined with age and wisdom. She wore a simple cardigan, and in her hands she held a thick manila envelope. She smiled faintly, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "We've got some papers here. You said she belonged to a child." I nodded. "Yes, she did." "Well, we may have found her family," the woman continued. "There's a record of a young girl who had this dog. Her name was Sophie. But—" she paused, glancing at the papers, then back at me. "The girl passed away several years ago. From a car accident." My breath caught in my throat. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by invisible hands. "Willow was left behind," the woman explained, her voice soft. "The family tried to roam her, but she kept running away, always finding her way back to the house. Eventually, they couldn't care for her anymore, and she was taken in by the shelter. We've been trying to find out more about Sophie's family, but it's been difficult." The room felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. Sophie. The little girl. That name echoed in my mind like a whisper from the past. Willow wasn't just a dog. She was a reminder of a life lost too soon, of a young girl's love, of a family torn apart. Willow had been waiting for something. But what? I knelt down to her level, my hands trembling as I reached for her. She didn't move at first, but then she padded over to me, her small body snuggling into my arms as if she had always belonged there. Her eyes locked to mine with a look that was more human than animal, a look that spoke of silent grief, of quiet understanding. I kissed her on the head, my heart breaking for the child she had once known, for the family she had lost. "I'm so sorry, Willow," I whispered. "I don't know what happened to them, but I promise I'll make sure you're never alone again." That night, as we returned home, something shifted in the air. It wasn't just the absence of the rain or the silence of the house. It was something deeper. Willow seemed different now, too, as if her long journey had finally come to an end. As I sat on the porch, the evening breeze rustling through the trees, Willow lay at my feet, her eyes trained on the quiet yard, her body relaxed in a way I hadn't seen before. She wasn't just the stray I had found on a lonely, rainy morning. She wasn't just a dog in need of rescue. She was something more. She had been waiting, too, waiting for closure, waiting for the right moment to move on. But I realized something important as I sat there, my hands lightly resting on her back. She hadn't just been waiting for a family. She'd been waiting for me. And I, too, had been waiting for the peace that she had brought into my life, for the warmth that her presence had offered. She wasn't just an animal who needed saving. She had saved me in ways I hadn't known I needed. A few weeks later, I received another call from the shelter, but this time it was different. The shelter staff had managed to track down Sophie's remaining family members. They had learned that the family had moved away years ago, leaving behind their memories and the dog that had once belonged to their daughter. But they also found something else. A small letter tucked in the toy Willow had carried with her all this time. The letter was simple, written in a child's handwriting. "Dear Willow, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for leaving you behind. I know you love me so much. I'll always be in your heart, and I hope you'll find someone who loves you as much as I did. Love, Sophie." As I read the letter, the weight of everything hit me. Willow hadn't just been abandoned. She had been loved, deeply loved. She had carried that love with her all this time, waiting for someone to share it with. And I had finally found her. The firefighters who had been called to the scene a few weeks ago had arrived not to rescue Willow from a dangerous situation, but to rescue me from my own grief, from the silence I had lived in for so long. Willow had been a silent witness to my pain, and in her own way, she had healed it. Now, every time I look at her, I'm reminded that sometimes the creatures we rescue end up rescuing us in ways we never imagined. And that, maybe, just maybe, we all deserve a second chance. As I sit here now, Willow curled up beside me, I can't help but feel grateful for every moment. I can't help but believe that the love we give and the love we receive is never truly lost. And that, in the end, there's always hope for healing, if we're just willing to open our hearts. Willow was more than just a dog who had been left behind. She was a piece of someone's story, a memory of a life, a family, and a child who had loved her deeply. In her eyes, I saw not only the pain of the past, but also the hope for the future. If you're reading this, take a moment to think about the animals who need our help. They don't just need our rescue. They need our love, our kindness, our belief in second chances. Adopt, rescue, love.